good to see people coming from all over. The pandemic has brought us together virtually.
I see there's folks all the way from the Philippines, Kenya, Orange County.
I am definitely very mission oriented, and this mission, renewed mission of creating space and a sense of belonging for everyone really resonated with me.
You are in charge of really seeing how to drive Discord from a multi-million-dollar business to a multi-billion-dollar business.
May not be new to a lot of you, but when I talk about accessibility, I tend to start from the beginning. It's kind of hit or miss. There are definitely tons of veterans out there who know all about this stuff. And then you have folks who haven't really dove into it yet for one reason or another. So I kind of started at the beginning.
Making a mistake isn't easy. This is something that is hard no matter where you're at. For me, when I caused my first outage, I was filled with so much guilt. I just felt like I had failed. But I have really great people around me who help reassure me that this is something that everyone does and helps me make sure that I bounce back from it.
I just kind of wanted to emphasize that if you're curious and you like learning new things and you're comfortable working with technology and explaining technology to people and telling stories, then you're a prime candidate to be a PMM. So I hope that was helpful.
In my opinion, I think data science can help marketing from many different areas, especially in two areas. One is targeting, one is environment.
We are a people-first company, but really how do we create that collaboration?
We give everyone, no matter your role, a chance to give feedback, brainstorm, because we know that good ideas can and often come from, all across the business.
I just wish I didn't blindly follow as much, and I wish I questioned more, and I wish I challenged myself to really think whether I like what I'm doing and whether it's the right thing and what it gives to myself.
I think an important part of that is also learning what I need from folks that I work with directly to trust them and build trust with them, and what they need from me to have trust in me, and so I can, earn and build that trust reciprocally, and kind of having an active dialogue about what those things are, and understanding those things take time too.
Again, just so beautiful to see such a wonderful group and community come together for something so important such as this.
My name is Angie Chang, and I'm the founder of Girl Geek X. And Sukrutha, say hi and kind of introduce yourself.
Hi, Angie. I'm Sukrutha, and I'm Angie's partner and supporter and big time cheerleader. Together, we want to bring to you a community for you to be comfortable to be a part of and not try to seek help from. With that, we also have companies that sponsor each event. And so if you'd like to partner with us and be a sponsor, reach out to us to see how you can get your company to have access to this amazing community that you are a part of.
Cool. So I'm going to do a quick check-in with everyone. Where is everyone logging in from? There's a chat feature if you can say hello and where you're coming in from. I feel
people are saying that there's no audio from us, but they're also answering the question about where they're from. So
awesome. It's good to see people coming in from all over. The pandemic has brought us together virtually. We've been doing these Girl Geek dinners since 2008. They started out in places like Google and Facebook when those were smaller companies. And over the years, we've continued to go to all these different companies. And now in the pandemic, we're virtually getting together and hearing from women at these tech companies and startups and hearing from them and being inspired continually and always learning about what's the latest, what people are working on, what are the challenges that they face and what they've overcome, and getting really inspired by them.
Angie, someone's dialed in from Kenya.
Oh my God, and Jamaica.
How cool is that?
Cool.
You see Jamaica too, that's amazing.
So who here has been to a Girl Geek dinner before? I'm just curious. And what do you remember or like from it? I think for me personally, I always like to tell people why to come to Girl Geek dinners. You get to learn about what are the job titles, because they change all the time. They've changed in tech and they change in business, and the word operation comes up a lot more, like product operations, product marketing. I think we learned so much by just going to Girl Geek dinners over the years and seeing the women come on stage and seeing their job titles and hearing them talk about what they're working on and how they do it. And then people pick it up at other companies and startups in other cities around the world. So to me, it's really fascinating to continue to see what women are doing in tech and other fast moving industries. And I'm really excited tonight to hear from the women at Discord. So I think now is a time that we have to turn the mic over to our Discord host, Jire. And she is
awesome.
Yes.
So many different words to describe Jire. I'm gonna grab the mic from you and go ahead and do that because I'm excited to introduce Jire. So Jire is passionate about leveraging technology to increase social impact. She has served in elected office, worked on education access in the Middle East and redeveloped curriculum to impact the way children learn about the internet. That is so cool. An alum of the Brookings Institute, Twitter, the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, and Airbnb, Jire is currently working on inclusion, diversity, and purpose at Discord. She holds a degree in international studies and economic development from Boston College. Welcome, Jire. You're so cool.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It's so great to be here with you and with Angie and the rest of the community. It's so inspiring. My connection actually to Angie goes so many years ago, and I used to be a member of her email for Women 2.0 back in the early, I guess that was Web 2.0 days, but it's so exciting to be here with you all, and also hosted a Girl Geek dinner past when I was at Twitter, and it's so great to be able to facilitate this online. As you all heard, I'm Jire. I go by she, her pronouns, and it's so, again, inspiring to see so many folks in the chat sharing a little bit about where they're coming from. I see there's folks all the way from the Philippines to Kenya, to folks in Orange County, to Louisiana. Again, just so beautiful to see such a wonderful group and community come together for something so important such as this. So I'm excited to meet with you all, and hopefully we can kick things off. So first off, let me start sharing my screen, so bear with me. All right, let's get started. So what are y'all in for today? So one, we're gonna welcome you all, which we're doing now. We'll tap into Q&A where you'll get to meet some of my wonderful colleagues, and first starting off with Beena Agarwal, one of our directors of engineering at Discord. Then we'll move into lightning talks where we hope to impart some of both our knowledge that we've gained as women in technology, but then also reflections. And last but not least, we'll turn it over to some other leaders at the company who are paving the way across our product, community, as well as engineering teams. Then I'll pass it over to my other colleague, Lauren, who helps to oversee a lot of our technical recruiting work. And then we'll also have some time for networking afterwards. So again, hi everyone, I'm Jire. I'm the Senior Manager of Inclusion, Diversity, and Purpose at Discord. And what in the world does that mean to you? Essentially, our work fosters and activates a culture of inclusion and belonging in the workforce, workplace, and marketplace. I've been at Discord for just over 6 months now, and in my off time, I love all things art, culture, architecture, vintage treasures, hiking, and the occasional versus battle. So hopefully I have some friends in the audience that I can connect with on some of these things that I hold near and dear. But truly, I just love people and hearing their stories. And I think that's kind of the through line between all of my favorites and things to do. But you didn't just come here to meet me, right? Y'all came to learn more about Discord, so we can tap into that. So a little bit about Discord. Discord's story begins back in 2015 when our founders really came together and were trying to think about how to create a place and a space to find belonging in their lives. And the hope with Discord is that it creates that place for you to be able to connect not only with those that you know, but also things that you care about. And to be able to have genuine relationships based on the things that you care about with your friends and those communities that you hold dear, and truly be across the globe. And I think it's a testament to that, to be able to see people truly from all over both the United States and even outside of the United States and in various continents, all coming together because we care about, Girl Geek X. And similarly, Discord wants to do that for you in the communities and places where you hold dear. And that's really what I think makes Discord a really special place to work. So more about the metrics, we have about 150 million monthly active users, which really goes into the monthly folks who are coming across the globe and coming together with their friends as well as communities. We have various servers, which really are those hubs of community, and over 19 million, and I repeat, 19 million are active every week. And there are over 4 billion server conversation minutes every single day. So, just under, I don't know, the population of the world, I guess, or so. Across Discord, what actually powers this place are a ton of wonderful, amazing humans. And I want to break it down a little bit for you. We have administrative folks who really are that backbone, helping to make sure that all of the folks are able to do their best work by providing that administrative lens. We have folks on business development who are, making those connections with brands, like you have, StockX, if you're trying to get the latest Yeezys, or if you're trying to see what Gucci's up to in their new time vault. All that's happening on Discord. We have a customer experience team who's paving the way by really connecting with each and every single one of our users as much as they can. If you ever tweet them on Twitter, they're pretty active there as well. We have a data science team. You'll get to meet Nancy just later on, who will talk a little bit about some of the work that she's leading. We have a wonderful design team that's helping to bring to life all things Wampus, which you'll hear a little bit probably about later today. We have a wonderful engineering team who helps to build Discord. Finance is important because they help keep the lights on and that they pay for all the wonderful things. I might be biased, but I think the people, talent, and Five team is pretty darn cool. And that's our team that I happen to be on, which really works to, one, think about employee experience end to end, from the time that you're considering working at Discord to the time where you may be at the company itself, as well as our product team, getting in the weeds on all the PM stuff, and then legal, which keeps us honest and helps us make sure that we stay not in trouble. And then our marketing team really getting the word out. And last but not least is trust and safety, which really helps us try and build the right policies and processes to make sure that Discord can be a place for people to belong. So that's a little bit about what's behind the curtain as far as the teams that make our company a company. But I think what also is pretty awesome about Discord is that we have a total wellness program that really takes into the fact that we're not just, one thing. We're not just a singular person. We're a whole person. And that includes our physical wellness, that includes our mental wellness, and that includes our financial wellness, whether that's through services such as Headspace to meditate, whether that's Modern Health to provide counseling sessions, coaching sessions, whether that's our Gender Affirmation Fund to support our colleagues, whether that's Carrot to support our colleagues in fertility journeys, or even thinking about financial wellness, especially when we think about inclusion for communities that may not have been provided these resources in the past. And so really thinking about it through 3 major lenses. And even within each of those buckets, we have a number of, traditional perks as well, whether it's our desk fund or support for employees to be able to get their exercise on or what have you. But all of that exists and more within Discord. So just a little bit, give you a little taste, a little bit of behind the scenes of Discord thus far. And then I got to talk a little bit about inclusion, diversity, and purpose. One, because I am passionate about it, but 2, I think that's what's the special sauce about Discord and our team and what it really stands for. And within each of these buckets, we really try to dedicate intentional time, effort to bringing this alive. And so number one, within our workforce, we really want to build programs and pathways to attract, hire, and develop diverse talent. And it really, the why behind it is Discord, again, is about belonging. And to actually be able to do that, we have to start within, and we have to be intentional about it, and we have to communicate it and really build those programs to make sure that that's successful. Then from our workplace, what about folks who are here? And that's where the internal inclusive culture development comes from. And so that's everything from employee resource groups to our employee engagement team, to even employee giving and volunteering opportunities that we have for employees. And then last but not least is the marketplace. And I think what's so exciting about Discord is the reality that it really is a consumer facing product, and people, I'm sure, and I'm actually curious, I might even ask y'all, like, how many folks in the chat, if you've ever used Discord before, if you're using Discord, I'm sure I would see quite a few folks jump in. And it's important for us to have that inclusion, diversity, and purpose lens as we're thinking about the company. And that's where that marketplace work comes into contact with us. And so that's just a little bit about Discord. But I will pass the mic. I think y'all be seeing a lot of me today, so bear with me as we go along for this journey. But I want to welcome up my colleague Beena Agarwal, who's Director of Engineering at Discord. So I'm gonna stop screen share so y'all can actually meet and see Beena. All right, welcome. Hi, Beena. How are you?
Hi, Jire. I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's nice to see you. Long time no see.
You too. I'm excited to be here.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I have to tell the rest of the crew here, since we have all these friends joining from truly all over and who use Discord daily. Like Nicole says, Nicole uses Discord every day. I see people saying really standing Discord. And so I think getting to talk to you is pretty exciting in the sense that you are in charge of really seeing how to drive Discord from a multi-million-dollar business to a multi-billion-dollar business. And I think it's so exciting to see you in that position. And I want to first start things off with folks to get to know you and learn a little bit more about who Beena is. So I'll turn the mic over to you and share a little bit more about who you are and what brings you to Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can start with my background and start from the beginning, and then feel free to go into ask me for any details, and I'm happy to go into that. So I started out my career as a software engineer a long time ago. I was at Symantec working on network intrusion detection systems. And after doing that for a while, I wanted something that was still just as challenging and more fun. So I actively sought out the gaming industry and was at Electronic Arts as a software engineer. And then that's where I got into management. And I ended up leading a mobile studio, engineering for a mobile studio at EA. And as part of EA's pivot to mobile strategy, I was working on casino games, which made a lot of sense because they make a lot of money. And after about 4 years of doing casino games, I had to take a step back and think about what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I wanted to do something a little more machine oriented. So I ended up starting my own education technology company. I did that for a few years, and then I was very curious about the intersection of technology and healthcare. So I actively pursued some health tech companies. And actually around the same times, I started conversations with Discord, and I was completely blown away with everyone that I talked to here. It was clear that there was very much a people first mentality in leadership style, and that really resonated with me. However, at that time, I had actively gotten out of the gaming industry, and I was just 1 year into my health tech journey. So I decided to pursue health tech and give it a full shot. And then a couple years later, Discord had grown a lot. My manager reached out to me, and a couple of things that happened in that time, in those 2 years during COVID, Discord had actively gotten out, actively expanded out of the gaming industry, and this mission, renewed mission of creating space and a sense of belonging for everyone really resonated with me. So I pursued those conversations again and decided last year that it was a good time to join Discord. And so I've been with Discord for a year. And yeah, so that's what brought me to Discord. Outside of work, I am a new mom. I have an 18-month-old, so I spend a lot of time being a slave to a toddler. So any moms out there, if you have any tips, I would love to hear them. And I like exploring the outdoors.
Amazing, amazing. And lots of congratulations as well in the chat, both for your career and as well as your little one. And I think, you shared a lot about, your career journey, both into entrepreneurship, and also something that I think is something that we can all relate to, which is sometimes maybe it's not the right time, and then you find the right time and you still stay close. I think it's so powerful to really think through that. And, now that you're a year into your time at Discord, like what does your role really entail? I tried to give a little bit of a tidbit, but I didn't want to tell the full bit about your work, but can you tell us more about what you do at Discord?
Yeah, absolutely. So here at Discord, I lead engineering for the premium products organization, and that is really building revenue generating products for Discord. So what that truly means is overall Discord's mission is to create belonging for everyone, and our teams exist to fund that mission by creating a sustainable business model for decades to come. So we do that by scaling our premium products and ensuring that they truly align with the user's interests. So this includes the teams that work on our nitrous subscription products, our boosting subscription products, and the underlying platform that ensure that our products are robust and scalable. And my role in particular has evolved a bit for the past year. Truly, we just started focusing on scaling our business models early last year. So it was working with a lot of our counterparts to come up with a strategy and clearly outline the goals for the organization, and then making sure that we have the tools, the systems, and the processes in place, and that we are building teams and setting them up for success to meet our goals. Since then, we have scaled the engineering organization here within premium products from 10 engineers when I first started to about 36 engineers now, and we have some audacious goals in front of us. So we are definitely adding more and scaling the organization to about 50 by the end of the year. And then it's a large part of the role is also cross-functional. So as a core revenue organization, besides working with the product teams and the design teams and the analytics teams, it's literally working with almost every team in the organization to make sure that we are working on the right things, on the most impactful things. So this includes finance for all our revenue recognition. It includes partnering with business development to make sure that we're going after the right deals. It literally includes working with any team that is building features for Discord to make sure that we're also thinking about how we're going to monetize things and making sure that everything aligns with the user's interest ultimately.
Right. And I think you say something really important, and I think as a unique delineation for where Discord is, and it's in that at the end ultimately also about the user, which I think is such a unique lens to how Discord has conversations about monetization that I think is different than many platforms. I don't know if you want to expand a little bit more on that philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're continuously rethinking that and evolving that. But at the core of it, it is figuring out what truly engages our users, where our users' interests are. And because ultimately it's engagement that leads to conversion. And we truly believe that. And we are a very data-driven organization. And by data-driven, I mean both from a qualitative perspective and a quantitative perspective. So we're constantly doing user studies, looking at the vast amount of data that we have to really figure out where users are spending their time and what is it that they truly value in our products so that we can build upon that.
I love that approach. And again, obviously I'm a little biased, but I think, having that qualitative data that really dives into something that you can't get in a numerical quantitative really allows for that balance to occur to hopefully help us learn more about our communities, as well as the folks who come to Discord every single day. But I'm curious, like, what gets you excited in the morning? What makes you excited about Discord? What makes you excited about your role?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am definitely very mission oriented, and that's one of the reasons that I joined Discord. So helping Discord achieve that mission of creating belonging is truly what excites me. And within premium products, that really means how does our organization connect to that mission? So we remind ourselves of that constantly, that we exist here to fund that mission of creating belonging for our users. So, working on that is definitely very important and exciting. And then what that tactically means is we have some audacious goals in front of us. We are at 150 million monthly active users, like you said. We are a multi-million-dollar business right now, and we are constantly thinking about how we want to get to multi-billion dollars in revenue, and with a clear goal of getting to $1 billion by end of 2023. So we are actively working backwards from that goal, and and that is super exciting for all of us to figure out how to get to that $1 billion goal. But it also means how are we scaling the organization to get to that goal? So I think about that a lot, making sure that we're bringing in the right people that embody our principles and values and empowering them to do their best work. And then also defining the culture of the org as we scale and grow, like really understanding what is it that we truly value, where we have been a different size of an organization for a long period of time, and there are certain things that we enjoy operating in a certain way. So what are core principles that we want to keep? What are things that we want to evolve, and how do we define the culture of the org as we scale? Those are some of the key things that are super exciting to me personally.
Yeah, I think all of that's very exciting. And, $1 billion is no joke. And I think it's so important and great, the work that you're doing. And you've probably learned so many lessons along the way. Are there any that you can share with us?
Yeah, sure. So there is a book by Jim Collins called Built to Last, where he talks about time telling and clock building. So the premise is that often leaders spend a lot of time crafting a vision, building and bringing an idea or a product to life. And he refers to this as time telling. In the studies that he has done, what he found that truly visionary companies are the artifact of clock building. What that means is building an org or company that can prosper beyond the presence of any leader and endure over time. So the company and the organization is the true creation, and the product and leaders are in service of that. And I think about that a lot and how that applies to my role here. So the reality is that we have to spend, as leaders, we have to spend some time doing the time telling and the clock building. Because in reality, we have a lot of audacious goals in front of us, and we have to make sure we spend our time in those execution details as leaders and making sure that everyone's working towards those goals and that we're executing against those goals. But the true benefit is from that clock building, like building the org, building the culture of the org. So I'm constantly thinking about what is the right balance here? How much time should we be spending building that org, and how do we balance that with the execution details here? It's something that, it's hard to find that right balance, and that's something that I'm constantly trying to learn from and evolve.
Absolutely. I feel like all of us in one way or another. I'm curious, I'm sure in the chat, there's plenty of people who are trying to find balance, myself included. And especially when you're at, a hyper growth startup environment and really trying to make an impact in such a important way. I'm curious that, you've worked at both startups and building a team there. You've worked within a company, like a large one such as EA, and you've also worked at Discord now for a year. And how have you found the leadership at Discord to be different than at other places?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing I will say is that leaders here truly embody the people first part of the culture. And a lot of times when you go through the interview process, you learn a lot about the culture. And then when you join the company, you find that aspects of it might be true, and there are aspects of it that are not exactly what you expected. And I will say in my 1 year time here, I find that everyone has been totally true to everything that I learned as part of the interview process. The reasons that I joined Discord or have totally held true. So what I mean by that is everyone is very true to the mission. Everyone really cares about the mission, all the way from the individual contributors that I've interacted with, all the way to the leaders, the senior leaders of the company. It shows up in a lot of different ways, all the way to how the CEO runs all hands and how transparent he is about everything that he communicates in these all hands. So we have a weekly all hands that is run by the CEO, where he talks about things that are top of mind for him, and then we go through the different parts of the organization. We'll also give updates, and then in the end we have a Q&A section. And it's amazing to me how you can ask any question, anyone can ask a question, and the responses are always very thoughtful, and how the CEO is very transparent about that. So that's one aspect here, how leaders are truly transparent here. And then the other thing is, as far as the people first mentality goes, like everyone really creates space for us to be our authentic self. One of the things that I was very concerned about when I was joining is, joining a company remotely during the pandemic is definitely not easy. Building a rapport with the team remotely is definitely not a walk in the park. And then also I was a new mom at the time. I'd just come out of maternity leave. My kid was 5 months old. There were a lot of things that were important to me, including like nursing, and it was very important for me for various reasons to continue to do that. And I was very upfront with my manager about all those things that were important to me. And what I found, that all of my apprehensions were, totally, they weren't a problem for anyone. Like Discord made it very easy to onboard, to build rapport with teams. Like they truly had frameworks around all of that. And then also, made space and time for me to take care of things as I needed, whether that be blocking time on the calendar, or, if I had to attend a meeting, being able to turn video off and nurse the baby as needed. It was also refreshing to see that there were a lot of male allies in the company, including my own manager, who often during meetings would say that, hey, I actually need to go feed my kids, so I'm just going to turn the video off and make lunch for my kids. And it was really refreshing to say that, to see that, and to normalize things and say that, hey, it's okay. This is life in this world, and it's okay to do that. So it truly helped reinforce some of the decisions that I made and why I joined Discord, and everything that I learned during the interview process and leadership here has totally held true.
I think that's so well said. And I think that commonality is really around one, the fact that we actually have those action points, whether it be through the all hands, where our CEO literally every Tuesday really opens up not only the floor to folks who may have been at the company, whether they've been there a day or they've been there since the beginning, an opportunity to ask questions and to hear the responses live, and really creating that community of transparency, to talking about what it's like, coming back to a work environment and really having that holistic, whole person application of our values and our principles. So it's really cool hearing you share that. I know we don't have too much time, but I'm seeing quite a few questions come in from folks. Maybe we could get to a couple of them with time that we have left. Let me see here. I see a question a little bit about more on our work culture in particular. And I know we kind of talked about it, but I want to respond to Anita's question in that, how would we describe Discord's work culture? What are Discord's future plans or collaborations in the next year? So maybe we could answer that from like an engineering perspective on your team.
Yeah, Absolutely. So as far as the work culture goes, so we definitely strive for excellence, but at the same time, we promote work-life balance a lot. So some of the examples that I gave, like they were truly important for me. I'll tell you from my own perspective, just all in my entire career until I had a kid, work-life balance was a misnomer to me, and pretty clearly, just because I enjoyed doing what I did, and I just worked all the time, not because I had to, but because I really enjoyed it. When I had a kid, that changed, and work-life balance was very important to me. And that was, one of the things that I really looked into deeply when I joined Discord. And I can say that we definitely take that very seriously here, and we ensure that folks are not overloaded. That we do planning appropriately. We make sure we plan for projects upfront, and ensure that we don't have crunch times and avoid them as much as we can. So that's one thing I'll note in terms of work culture from an engineering perspective. And then Jire, feel free to add, like you're on the people team, you know a lot about this as well.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think, that was a really helpful example just around how, Discord really takes the time to not just say, okay, you you work at Discord and that's it. It's really holistic. And I think it's one, seeing that the company has allowed people to do 80% of capacity, not necessarily saying you have to be at 100% capacity, which really frees up a lot of time. I mean, I have coworkers who are able to work at Discord and be in graduate school. I have coworkers who are able to be caregivers of children or of family members, et cetera. And so all of that not only is existing, but is thriving. And I think that's the really unique piece that I want folks to really take with them, and that it's encouraged not only through the words that we're saying, but through the policies that exist, whether it be the parental leave that exists, whether it be the family leave that exists. We have unlimited sick time in case someone's not feeling well. We have paid time off where you accrue it. And so that really encouraging folks, and even myself, my manager's like, you need to take time off, like encouraging folks on the team to do that. And I think that, again, through actions versus simply saying it, I think really makes a difference between what I've seen at Discord versus at other companies. And so I think that's really a testament to the work environment that we have here. And let me see if we might have time, Beena, for one more question, because we have to pass the mic, and then we'll come back and make sure to respond to as many questions as we can today. But this question comes from Karen, and a little bit more about some of the qualities that you look for as you're expanding your team. If you could talk a little bit about that. I know teams are growing rather rapidly, but I'm sure folks are keen to hear a little bit more about the engineering process.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a very well-defined interview process. And as far as like specifically the question talks about outside of the job description, what are the qualities that we look for? So during our interview process, we have a attitude and values panel where we really dig into some of those non-technical skills. And what we really look for is folks that will embody our core principles and our core culture. And there is an awesome blog post on things that we value and our principles. So we really dig into those through those behavioral questions, and that's what we really value besides like the technical skills that we go through. And then from a leadership perspective in engineering managers in particular, we are, again, like I said, very much a people first organization. So we believe in growing and hiring really strong tech leads and giving them autonomy in terms of execution, and leaving room for managers to really focus on career growth and coaching of individuals. So that's something that we value a lot. So we definitely look for leaders that are able to focus on that versus like the technical execution. You still have to be technical and be able to guide discussions, but we expect you to focus more on coaching and career development.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. I know we're kind of running up on time, and folks, we are getting get to as many questions as we can. So please bear with us. We also have some recruiters in the audience. But next up, I want to welcome one of my colleagues and fellow East Coasters, Megan. Can we give Megan a big shout out for being up and wanting to do this presentation today? Welcome, welcome, Megan. I'll pass the mic to you. I'll see you all in a bit.
Hello, everyone. Let me go ahead and get my screen sharing going. Can somebody give me a thumbs up just to know I can hear and you all can hear and see me? Okay, sounds good. So I'll go ahead and get started. Just to do a little bit of an intro. Hi, I'm Megan Zlock. I'm a software engineer on the accessibility team at Discord. I've been at Discord for about 6-7 months, but I have about 10 years experience as a front end and kind of full stack developer. So yeah, not new to Discord, but not new to the game. And today I wanted to talk about digital accessibility a little bit. So before I get started, I want to kind of mention, I know I'm talking to a diverse audience of lots of folks. So this may not be new to a lot of you, but when I talk about accessibility, I tend to start from the beginning. It's kind of hit or miss. There are definitely tons of veterans out there who know all about this stuff. And then you have folks who haven't really dove into it yet for one reason or another. So I kind of start at the beginning. But hopefully I'll have some resources towards the end that'll be helpful for everybody. So let's talk about digital accessibility. So what is it? What does it mean for engineers? And where do you start? So I kind of like to pull this quote. It's just from Wikipedia, but I do like this particular quote. So accessibility is the inclusive practice of ensuring there are no barriers that prevent interaction with or access to websites on the World Wide Web by people with physical disabilities, situational disabilities, and socioeconomic restrictions on bandwidth and speed. While that last particular point I do find incredibly interesting, I mostly focus on my job on folks who have physical or situational disabilities. So that's kind of what we're talking about today. How do we make our websites accessible for folks who may interact with your site in a little bit of a different way than other folks? I also like this quote from Microsoft. They've got some really good documentation on inclusive design. So designing inclusively doesn't mean you're making one thing for all people. You're designing a diversity of ways for everyone to participate in an experience with a sense of belonging. And we love that word belonging at Discord. So basically in practice, when you build for accessibility, it's really interesting how a lot of folks get caught up on like, oh, I have to make one thing that works for everybody. But really, like, when you get into the nitty gritty of how to do certain new things, you really kind of have to build in a couple of different ways of doing things, whether somebody's using a keyboard or a mouse or a screen reader or something else. Like, it's really interesting when you start diving in and really connecting all of those experiences. So why does accessibility matter? So the first one I always bring up as my Captain Obvious reason is it's just the right thing to do. Inclusivity is important. We want everybody to be able to use Discord, so why not? But if you need further convincing, it's also our mission at Discord. We love to say that we create a world where everyone belongs. We love that word belonging. So it's just part of our mission. We want to make sure that everybody, regardless of their physical abilities, can take part in the communities on Discord. And then also, it's the law. If there was no other reason, there's also that one. Especially as an international application, lots of folks all over the world use it. We need to make sure that we're passing and following all the criteria that we need to follow for disability law. To dive into that a little bit further, typically for engineers, that means complying with the WCAG, that is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And just to go over that a little bit in my lightning talk, I don't have much time, but basically WCAG conformance falls into 3 levels: A, AA, and AAA. And this is kind of an additive process. Any rules in A are also in AA and are also in AAA. Typically, conformance means complying with A. The AAA rules are very specific. They can be very specific to certain audiences. So you may want to like do some UX, see who you have using the site. Like there's one rule that says you can't use jargon, but then that doesn't work out so well when you're doing like a medical site, right? So yeah, you kind of have to pick and choose your AAA rules in a lot of instances. It'd be very difficult to comply with all of them. And if you want to get started with WCAG, I really think the best place to start is the W3C. They have this really good quick reference guide where you can do some filters. You can see what's in A, AA, AAA, as well as like a little bit of filtering based off of your particular role. So just to kind of keep going with that. So what goes into accessible product engineering? So there is a complying with WCAG, but WCAG only gets you so far. When you start working in accessibility, knowing the fundamentals is really important. Having really good HTML and CSS to start with kind of sets you with a really good baseline if you're building a website. Of course, if you're doing React Native or any kind of web app, you'll want to be using the right components or views or accessibility attributes on those as well. And then you want to build on top of good HTML with ARIA. So if you're not familiar with ARIA, that stands for Accessible Rich Internet Applications. So that's basically extra attributes added to HTML to imply states or extra labels or extra accessibility information and hints. And it works just like HTML attributes, but it's kind of an added layer that works well with JavaScript. And then lastly, testing. I cannot advocate enough for testing, whether you're trying out a screen reader yourself or just doing some keyboard testing. I would especially recommend doing some level of user testing. So I, as an accessibility engineer, am a fairly able-bodied person. It's really hard for me to know if I am building the right thing for somebody who natively uses these assistive technologies. So luckily at Discord, we do have a bunch of volunteers who work with us and can user test with us. And it's an amazing resource to make sure that the stuff that we ship works how we intend it to. But yeah, just another note, kind of on the organizational level, it's helpful to think of accessibility like performance or security. It's kind of an ever-present piece of maintenance that you kind of have to do. It's never done. You don't just conform once and you're done. It's going to be something you're going to be working on for a long time. So accessibility at Discord, so what does my job look like? A lot of it is bug fixes. I am an engineer on the team, so a lot of the times I'm adding labels that were missed or kind of reconfiguring some ARIA attributes, things like that. Working on the design system. The accessibility team is really, really close with our design system team so that we can make sure that our primitives, our like little components that we use everywhere, are very accessible. We're working on writing some automated testing to catch bugs so that it's not just us working on accessibility at Discord. People can catch any violations as they're working and kind of take care of it for us. And then also we do some internal engineering training. So my job isn't just code, I'm also teaching engineers how they can work within our system. So last off, this is a lightning talk. I only have 10 minutes. I wanted to leave you all with some tools so that you can dive in and kind of learn your way around accessibility. And I really think the best thing that you could do is try out some of the testing things. So first off, start in design. So to give some of the designers who may be present some resources, there's the Able plugin for Figma. There's the Stark plugin, which is available for Figma and Sketch if you don't use Figma. ColorSafe is kind of an interesting tool that I ran into a while back for creating accessible color schemes. There's Contrast Checker. So it's not a very pretty site, but it's a nice way to see if your color contrast passes. So is white text on this blue background going to have enough contrast to meet the WCAG standard? There's also Color Oracle. So this is a Mac only application that I use occasionally that you can turn on and kind of, it changes the colors on your screen so you can get an approximation of what somebody with some form of color blindness might see. And then if for an additional reading that I don't have time to go into, Microsoft's Inclusive Design is great. I really recommend it. And for longer form reading, A Web for Everyone is a book. It's got great personas and everything in it. As you code, I recommend checking out Inclusive Components. I go back to it like so often, especially for their recommendations on how to build a good card component. And then I really do recommend while you code to test with keyboard. Like try that out as you're building. It's so easy to just hit the tab button and try it out. So there's some tips for trying out for keyboard accessibility. There's the accessibility inspector in Chrome DevTools. I dev in Chrome, so like that's right there, ready to go. If you want to add things on to Chrome, you can add Axe DevTools. It can be a paid product, but the free one does allow you to kind of scan your page for any violations. So you can get around with the free version. If you're not using Chrome, I do also like the Wave extension. It does mess up your page a little bit when you run it, but you can find all the violations. And then if you're working more in the app space, there's the accessibility inspector built right into Xcode. You can just turn it on now. And then Flipper is also kind of a nice one. I haven't used that one much, but we do use that one at Discord. And then finally, validate. So a few things that we do, some testing libraries that I recommend. Axe Core, especially if you're using Axe DevTools, it's kind of nice to test with the same thing, both manually and in your testing suite. And then I added a couple of other NPM modules that we kind of use as well to check if things have accessible names and things. And then lastly, for manual testing, this is just a list of tips from WebAIM or from DeQ. You'll see a lot, or actually I think their name is pronounced Deck. Anyway, they're a big accessibility presence. So a lot of these links have their resources on how to do gestures and all of that. If you're new to screen reader testing, I kind of recommend starting out with a touch screen because then you as a sighted person can see what you're touching and hear what it says, but just to start out. And with that, I think I will kind of wrap it up. I kind of like to start here. If you're new to accessibility, it's never too early or too late to start. It's never too early because you'll always save yourself some work later. And it's never too late either. Like if you're just picking this up, like I picked this up like 6-7 years ago, and it's been a learning process throughout. Like you learn so much just diving into it and really just testing and trying to make it work. Anyway, that's what I'm going to leave it on. I don't know if I quite have time for questions, but I'll turn off screen share here and see if we do. Let's see. Chat was going pretty quick, so I wasn't quite able to follow, but let's see. Okay, I see one question from the audience. How often do you work with product designers / UI UX designers to ensure designs are accessible? So the accessibility team has 3 engineers, including myself, and we do have 1 designer who helps us out with that. And that's if you just count kind of our dedicated designer. Since we work so closely with the design systems team, we technically have access to those folks too, because the design system should be accessible to start with. So of course they make sure that our color contrast passes things like passes all of the standards and things like that. And there's some work to be done if you go in and check there, but we've got a really good team on it. Let's see. So someone else asked, how do you test for people who are deaf or have no limbs? So I'll start with the no limbs. So there are a lot of accessibility devices out there, and for someone who's paralyzed or has no limbs, there's single switch buttons, there's head wands, there's like eye tracking software, things like that. For the most part, all of that technology leads back to keyboard accessibility, and like eye tracking is going to be like a mouse. So if you are making sure that your application or website is accessible for keyboard, you are covering a lot of folks. So that one is really important. And then for deaf, that one's a little bit harder. I would just say as long as much of your website is text as possible. Like media should always have a text alternative and stuff like that. As long as there's text, some text equivalents, everybody can interact with your content somehow, whether it's like read back to them or visible to be read and all of that stuff. Anyway, I should probably hand it off since we are doing lightning talks. I'm on the East Coast, so sorry if I don't join you all for social time later, but I will kick it over to Kelsey for the next lightning talk.
All right, there. Looks like I am up now. Let's see. I will go ahead and share my screen now. All right. So hi, everyone. My name is Kelsey. My pronouns are she, her, and I manage the site reliability engineering team here at Discord. So my team is responsible for defending the customer experience while making sure that we don't just throw people at the problem. We want to make sure that we're not sacrificing our engineers to get that done. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how to recover when you make a big mistake at work. This is coming from the perspective of someone who has had my share of mistakes take down the products that I am actually working on. So if we were all here together in a room, I would start this off by asking everyone to raise a hand if you've ever made a mistake at work. We're not here in person. Maybe you guys can throw it in the chat, but I'm going to assume that at least someone has raised your hand. So why do I think this is so important to talk about? Making a mistake isn't easy. This is something that is hard no matter where you're at. For me, when I caused my first outage, I was filled with so much guilt. I just felt like I had failed. But I have really great people around me who helped reassure me that this is something that everyone does and helps me make sure that I bounce back from it. I'm hoping to kind of spread some of this information onto you before you're in the same situation. Ooh. So who am I to talk to you about this? I've spent many years as an SRE. I've managed teams of SRE for several years after that, and I've definitely caused my own share of outages. In addition, I've mentored other people as they've gone through their first outage. For better or for worse, making mistakes is something I'm used to doing. So I would like to share with you a story from my very first and worst outage. A few months into my time as an SRE, I was working on a Friday during my company all hands to upgrade the operating system on some of our servers. At the time, this was a manual process. It required running a handful of commands by hand. But as all hands is going, I see several key engineers get up and leave the room. Think, that's kind of weird. Kind of wonder what's going on. But eventually I also receive a page that goes to the entire on-call rotation that things are very, very broken. I've heard from people after the fact that it was maybe a little bit alarming to see the entire infrastructure team stand up and leave all hands all at the same time. So essentially what ended up happening is I ran a command that ended up wiping a large number of live production databases because I just dropped some quotation marks from the command. This ended up leading to a large outage that brought down different parts of the company for 4 days, led to 20 people working around the clock through the weekend. It was a substantial problem. To add even more color to the degree to which things were broken, for years after this happened, this was one of only 2 incidents that my company continued to talk about. It was part of the new employee onboarding. We used to explain how we handle these sort of situations, and was only one of 2 incidents that we actually gave special names to. This one was called the last outage, or TLO. Not only that, but of course, on the anniversary of my outage, we decided to have a whole event for this. Called it Trustworthiness Week. People got special stickers to put on their laptops. So for years after that, I got to see stickers of my big mistake. And we had lots of conference rooms that actually ended up being named because of this outage. So hopefully I've given you an idea of what my credentials are. So I'll go back to the incident itself. So as I mentioned, we paged everyone because our site is down. Everyone's scrambling to try to figure out what's going on. And I'm mostly just off to the side. I'm very junior at this point. And I'm just kind of waiting around the off chance I could be helpful. But then I had my oh no moment. Someone mentioned something that sounded suspiciously close to something I'd been doing during all hands. My stomach had that, big, heavy, awful feeling. And I just felt like I knew that somehow I must have done something wrong. At this point, though, I got one of the more senior SREs, told him that I felt like this might be related to some work I'd been doing, and walked him through what I had been doing. He was able to grab other people. They were able to confirm that this was the root cause of what had happened. And we used this to actually work to help recover the site. So for my particular situation, it was really important that I work to get the right people informed. I help spread knowledge and get that extra help. So the next day. So I think something that you don't necessarily think about or expect is how hard it is to go back to your job after a large mistake. For me, coming in that Monday was so difficult. I had an entire weekend of just thinking about how things were still broken, how there was an entire team of people who had their weekends ruined, and everything was my fault. I felt like there was no way they weren't going to fire me. Even if they didn't fire me, I didn't know how I was going to keep doing my job, where it was dangerous and I could just drop quotation marks and everything would be broken again. And then of course they would fire me. When I got in though, I had great people around me giving me the same advice. It's okay. This happens to everyone who works in our field. We shouldn't have allowed the tools to allow someone to wipe the databases. Our backup should have been in a better place to recover faster, but most importantly, we don't blame you. So when it's your turn, take these things to heart. Come in, but give yourself space and time to get back to normal. Find work to you that feels like it's safe to be able to tackle. So moving forward, for this section, I think it's really important to talk about things that could be done by the company and by the individual. While an individual could take action that leads to something going wrong, ultimately it's the group that's responsible for what happened. So here at Discord, we make sure to adopt a blameless postmortem process when something goes wrong. We shouldn't be pointing fingers, but instead, every time that some major mistake happens, we should be learning from it. At every turn, we ask ourselves, what changes can prevent something like this from happening again? But this is only something we can do if people are safe enough to be able to be honest about what occurred. We don't want people hiding or trying to, avoid detection because they're afraid. So as a leader here, I'm also that person to make sure that this can happen. I make sure that I help people bounce back from their own mistakes. I work to make sure that they feel understood and they're not alone as they're going through something like this. So for my part of the talk, I'll leave you with one piece of advice. For you individually though, be patient with yourself. Find out how you can learn and grow from your mistake and then come back better than ever. So with this, I have a couple of minutes left. I would love to actually have you all talk about your mistakes. Throw it in the chat if you're comfortable. I don't know if we're able to have you all come up and share, but I think that would be really amazing if anyone was willing to speak to a mistake that you've made. Let everyone know that it's something that happens to everyone. If we can't facilitate that, cool. But I think share this. I think it's really good for us to feel comfortable owning the fact that we're going to make mistakes and we all do it. And I will go ahead and hand things over to Natalie to talk about product marketing.
So so I'm a product marketing manager for Discord developers. Those are the folks who build apps and bots on Discord using our API. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about what product marketing is and why I love it and how to approach technical storytelling. So in a nutshell, you have a product organization with someone who's managing the product, and you have a marketing organization with lots of subject matter expertise. So I'm going to give a quick caveat. Lots of companies are different. I'm going to share a high-level example of how you can think about it based on my experience. So you've got a PM, and you've got lots of subject matter experts who specialize in specific things. And what product marketing is, oh good, someone's interested in this role, let's hear it. What a product marketing manager does is connect these groups. So partnering really closely with product to identify the right people who are going to enjoy that product the most. We call that a target audience. And then you work with the whole marketing organization to make sure that all of those subject matter experts can help you reach those people, which is what they do best. So in addition to working out what a target audience would be for that product, some other big things you'd work on are positioning, writing messaging, sometimes the name and the price of something. You get really close to customer feedback, so running qualitative and quantitative research, and just generally being the source of truth for that narrative about the product. So a PM and a PMM are really close partners, and a lot of the skills are very similar. Some companies don't have both, and I'll come back to that in a second. But first, I wanted to dive a little bit more into what a PMM does, because there's a lot of acronyms and a lot of buzzwords. So I'm going to use metaphors because we all love a good metaphor. So the first one is center of gravity. So subject matter experts that you work with in a marketing organization and all of your cross-functional partners, they work on a ton of products. So when you're the PMM, it's your responsibility to sort of bring them back continually to a source of truth about like what the benefit of the product is and who the target audience is, and represent that every single day. And the other thing you want to do is, this is a metaphor that a mentor of mine used many years ago, and it might be my favorite because I still use it all the time, is I think about it like an orchestra. So your marketing partners are all the best at that instrument, and they specialize in specific channels. So for example, social media marketing or email marketing or web marketing, PR and comms. And as a PMM, you need to make sure that they're all in sync together. You need to make sure they're using the same songbook, and you need to make sure that things sound good for all the people who are listening. So I kind of think about it like being a conductor of an orchestra and really listening to what needs to happen and make sure everyone's working together really well. You need to connect a lot of dots, things like policy and legal and customer support. You obviously need to be really good at communicating, but specifically, you need to work on interpreting different technical information to who you're talking to, depending on what it is they need to know. And then kind of clear everything else out of the way for them, because people need to know very specific things to do their job, but they don't need to know everything. So part of communicating with them is interpreting the most important information so that they can bring your message out to all of your users. And then this was a bit of a spoiler because it was the title of my talk, but storytelling is very important too. You need to paint a picture. It's not just what something is called or how much it costs or when it's available. It's really more about why they should care, why it will or won't make their life better. Will it save them time? Will it make them laugh? And there's internal storytelling as well, pitching ideas and making those ideas resonate with people. And actually, before I was a PMM, I was a writer. That's actually my background. So storytelling is my favorite part of the job. And so I'm really lucky that I get to do it every day. And then the last one, which is kind of funny, but it's true, is a little bit of matchmaking. So you have users who have a bunch of unmet needs, and you have really talented engineers that can build all sorts of solutions. So when you're working with technology, a lot of it truly is just matchmaking, problems and solutions, people and the solutions that will meet those needs. And so that's a really fun part of the job as well. So I'm rattling off a lot of skills. I do just want to kind of call out one thing, which is hard skills and soft skills are equally important. If you have a hard skill like knowing SQL or getting certified in an analytics tool, or if you have an MBA or you can do strategic planning, you might also have soft skills like influencing and being curious and learning quickly, or having executive presence so that you can represent your side of the business well when you're talking to other teams. If you're really strong on hard skills, but you don't have a lot of soft skills, you can do really great work, but it's harder for people to see it and appreciate it. If you have soft skills without a lot of hard skills, people love you, but you aren't adding as much value or driving impact. And as a PMM for many years, I really feel this equally. They are equally important, and it is a continual practice to build them. And if you're someone who is curious and likes learning new things, PMMing is definitely a great job for you, because personally, I feel like almost every week I'm learning a new skill or practicing a skill that I haven't used in a long time. So if that sounds enjoyable to you, which it is for me, then definitely consider PMMing as a career. So going back to these metaphors, I wanted to kind of emphasize some things to keep in mind about when you're playing this role with all of your internal partners. So in order to be the center of gravity, to maintain that source of truth for everybody you're working with, you need to stay curious, and you also need to be comfortable not fully understanding all the technology every day. You kind of need to get to the heart of it, get to the benefit of it, and be able to assess like risk mitigation, but you don't necessarily need to program it or understand all the complexities involved. And that can sometimes be a delicate dance to do with yourself when it comes to, you know, confidence and learning things quickly. So it's a continual practice. You also need to be really good at listening and influencing and syncing people up. Sometimes we call this driving alignment. It's kind of a buzzwordy thing, but it's true. You need to spot patterns and solutions. When you're talking to multiple people, you might start to hear themes pop out. And so if you're able to recognize an ongoing challenge that multiple people are flagging to you, you can then go back to your product team and see if you can build a solution to address all of those at once. You definitely have to have good communication skills, like I mentioned. And I'm also calling out, like, when you don't know the ending of the story, you still got to get people excited and inspired. Obviously, there's a lot of ambiguity when you're working on new technology that has never existed before, but it's also just like the world we live in, right? Like, things are unpredictable and things change, and sometimes you just don't know how things are going to go. So getting comfortable, thriving in ambiguity, as they say. And then, you know, I did mention research, qualitative and quantitative research, when you're getting to know your customer, your target audience. It sounds kind of obvious, but you need to care about people. You need to empathize with people, especially if you aren't personally in that target audience. And that's something that I like calling out, because I think it's easy to forget that at the end of the day, when you're a PMM, the power of empathy, the power of putting yourself in someone's shoes, this was talked about a little bit in the accessibility lightning talk as well, is a really, really important thing to maintain. So if you care about people and you like hearing what their needs are, again, might be a good candidate for a PMM. So I wanted to bring it back to this image here and end with a little bit of advice for people who are thinking of interviewing for a PMM role or thinking about being a PM or PMM, which is not all companies have both. I mentioned this earlier. It's really awesome when they do. I love it when they do. Discord does. But some questions to think through when you're interviewing for a PMM role. Number one, ask about the company's philosophy on product marketing, because companies are different. Some marketing teams are very brand focused. Some companies are very engineering driven. And a PMM, being that center of gravity, really needs to have a robust understanding of how to be successful in that company. So definitely ask about that. Directly, I would recommend. And number two, pay attention to your PM partner when you're interviewing, because you'll probably be working with them every single day. And I'm super lucky. We have fantastic PMs at Discord, and I love working with every single one of them. And I actually knew that from my first interview, because it was something I was specifically looking for. And then the third thing is, like I mentioned, you got to be comfortable with ambiguity. Nothing is ever constant, so things are going to change. Companies grow, people come and go. The world is also unpredictable, so you just kind of have to be flexible and jump in and just kind of always think of it with a curiosity mindset and an openness. Personally, I've been in situations at past companies where I didn't have a PM at all, and I had to step into many aspects of that role until we got someone in place, which brings me to my final point, which is many skills overlap, especially the research, communication, and influencing part. So it's not uncommon for PMMs to move into product management and vice versa. And at Discord, actually last year, one of our PMMs moved into a PM role. Becoming a PMM opens up a lot of doors for you, because you get exposure to all sorts of roles and functions. And this works with the subject matter experts as well. So I've had friends that started as a more generalist and then worked with all these subject matter experts, the people playing all those instruments, the best at what they do. And we're just drawn to one of them. Like, I really just love this person who does paid media or PR. And because you work with all those people, you can kind of see the benefits of being in that position, and then you can make a career transition. And I also have a good friend who went the other way. I knew someone who was a social media marketer, worked with me as her PMM, and then said, this looks really interesting. And she became a PMM eventually as her career track. So it does happen. You get a lot of great exposure being in this role. And I just kind of wanted to emphasize that if you're curious and you like learning new things and you're comfortable working with technology and explaining technology to people and telling stories, then you're a prime candidate to be a PMM. So I hope that was helpful, and maybe someone watching just got convinced that this might be a good part of their career. So if that's you and you're listening, go do it. I wish you all the fun and fulfillment and adventure. So I think I'm going to hand it off to Nancy next.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. This is Nancy, and I feel really, really excited to be here and meet with you in this event. And also, thank you so much in advance for your time with me today. Just to share a little bit more about myself. I joined this course about 5 months ago, and I'm a data science manager supporting the marketing data science team. So for today's topic, I will talk about marketing incrementality tests. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, awesome. I understand this topic could be a little bit too technical, so I will try to provide as much context as possible and also speak from high level, hopefully to make it easy to understand for everyone here. Before getting started, I want to briefly share my opinion on how I think data science team can add value to marketing in general. I think Natalie just gave us a really great talk about product marketing, which really resonated with me really well. And I feel really excited about what our marketing team is doing and how data science team can support marketing as well. In my opinion, I think data science can help marketing from many different areas, especially in 2 areas. One is targeting, one is measurement. Targeting means like who we should target with our marketing programs. For example, which users should receive our marketing notification, or which countries should receive our marketing campaigns. Measurement means how do we quantify the impact from our marketing programs. The marketing incrementality test, which we're going to talk about today, is about the measurement piece, the second piece. So I will first talk about the marketing incrementality test in general. Then I will share a real example about how we measure brand marketing using geotests. Give me a second. Let me try to find my slides. I can only see the screen share for now. Yeah, here we go. So first, let me explain what is a marketing incrementality test. This is basically a data science approach that measures incremental lift to show the true impact of our marketing campaign. You basically have task group and a control group. You can spend your marketing dollars or marketing efforts as a task group, while do not spend your marketing dollars or marketing efforts as a control group. So you measure the difference between the two in the end. This is called incrementality test. So why is incrementality test important? First of all, it tells us how effective the marketing efforts is. It can also help us understand whether our marketing return is worth the marketing investment, which can help us to optimize the allocation of marketing dollars and marketing budgets. Oh, since you cannot see the share screen, is that a problem for everyone? Oh, awesome, thank you. So there are 2 general approach or methods we can do to measure incrementality. The first method is called A/B test. Second one is geotest. I just want to highlight that A/B test and the geotest, they are not really alternatives to each other because they're actually applied in different scenarios or different situations. Let's talk about each of the methods one by one. First, A/B test. I'm sure a lot of people might already be familiar with A/B test. Basically, you define a group of users as the audience. For example, if you work for a social media company, the group of users you define could be all the daily active users in US and Canada. And then you can randomly split the users into task group and control group and spend the marketing efforts or dollars in the task group. In the end, you compare the difference between the task group and the control group. That gives you the incrementality. Second, let's talk about the geo-test, which is shown on the right side of the slide. Unlike A/B test, geo-test is not looking at individual user behavior. Instead, it's looking at each geolocations to define test and control. For example, task group could have 5 geolocations, and the control group could have another 5 geolocations. If we compare the difference between A/B test versus geo-test, the biggest differences are that, first of all, geo-test is not really reliant on the ability to track individual user behavior. And Discord does care a lot about user privacy. On the other side, there are only so many geolocations we can test with. According to a Nielsen definition, there are only 210 DMAs, which means designated market areas in US. 210 is really a very small sample size. And what comes with that is there's always some natural differences between 2 geolocations. So the challenge of geotest is that because of the limited number of geotests actually lose a lot of statistical power to reach stats significance and cannot really control external factors very well. So it's really hard to say there is a perfect apple-to-apple comparison between task group and control group. That is a challenge for geotests. However, given these challenges, there are still several scenarios we have to use geotests and cannot really apply A/B test. The first scenario is that, for example, you want to test your SEM budget. SEM means search engine marketing, which means you increase the visibility of your company in search engine results page, primarily through paid ads, for example, on Google. Because we cannot really control who will search on Google and who will be exposed to search engine marketing. So we cannot really apply an A/B test at user level very well. The second scenario that we cannot really apply an A/B test very well is about doing a test in non-digital world. For example, you set up ads on TV or you set up a billboard in a Caltrain station. You cannot control which users will see the billboard in Caltrain station, right? So that's why you cannot really do an A/B test very easily at user level. And in these 2 scenarios, we should consider geotesting instead of A/B test at user level. So how do we do the geotest considering the challenge we mentioned earlier? So in order to address these challenges in practice, what we usually do is called a match market test. In a match market test, we carefully select and match the geolocations based on their similarities to form pairs of regions. For example, in a slide here, you can see that there are 2 orange pairs and 2 gray pairs. You randomly select one region in orange pair to control group and the other one in task group. And also you select one region in the gray pairs into task group, while the other one should go to the control group. And you launch your marketing budget to the task group and reserve your marketing budget in the control group. After a while, you compare the difference. For example, new user registration between task and control to conclude your incrementality. So we have talked about both A/B test and the geo test. Now let's switch the gear a little bit and talk about a real example of how we can measure brand marketing impact using geo test. This is also my last 2 slides for today. Brand marketing is an upper funnel of marketing, which tends to focus more on brand awareness. It's unlike performance marketing, which is on the bottom funnel marketing and has direct impact on registration. Brand marketing does not really have a very direct impact on KPIs. Therefore, it's more difficult to measure the impact compared to performance marketing. So in order to measure the impact of brand marketing, we do geo tests, use a match market test. So for example, we first select a few pairs of geo regions and assign some to test and some to control. And then we spend the brand marketing dollars to test group only, while reserve the brand marketing dollars in control group. The statistical method we use is called BSTS, or Bayesian Structural Time Series. The theory is not very difficult to understand. It's just to predict what registrations will look like for the test group without the brand marketing. I think Google created a very useful package, R package called Causal Impact. I also linked it here in case there's any interest to take a look into this for more research. So after doing the causal impact analysis with BSTS, you can just compare the counterfactual prediction, which means what registration will look like without a brand marketing versus the actual performance on new user registration. The difference between a counterfactual prediction and the actual will be the causal impact from brand marketing. That's basically what I want to talk about for our marketing incrementality test. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully that's easy to understand, even for the audience who is not that close to marketing or data science world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nancy, and thank you all for being here and getting to learn a little bit from some of the leaders at our company. So I think we've talked about data science with Nancy. We talked about product marketing with Natalie. We talked about, making mistakes with Kelsey, and we also talked about accessibility with Megan. And I'm curious, just in the chat, like, what are folks learning? What are folks feeling? How are we doing? Let's see. Oh, I hear from Felicia that this has been wonderful. So shout out to everyone thus far. But I want to also introduce you to some more amazing leaders at the company. We've been so honored to see so many wonderful questions, comments, folks reaching out even on LinkedIn and sharing how this event has been really impactful for you. We want to continue that with this next portion of the event. And so I want you to help me welcome with a virtual hello and a virtual warm welcome to Evelyn Masso, as well as Mindy Day. I think Chloe as well will be joining us momentarily, but at least let us welcome a few folks for now. Hello, hello. Oh, there goes Chloe. Okay, now we have a trio.
Hello.
All right, so y'all have seen me, kind of gotten to meet me before, but I feel like it would be nice to meet some more folks from the Discord team. So maybe what we can do is just quickly start off with just our name, the team that folks are on, and then we really want to use this time to really benefit y'all and hear the questions that you are interested in hearing from. So I'm going to just popcorn it around, and I'm going to start off with Evelyn.
Hey everyone, my name is Evelyn. Excited to be here. I'm the EM for Presentation Frameworks, and my pronouns are she, they, and I think I forgot the last thing I was supposed to say, or was that it actually?
Well, you shared a little bit about your work, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm the EM for Presentation Frameworks, which includes the accessibility team, the design systems team, and the foundation and performance team. So lots of UI infrastructure stuff is the part of the org that I work with. I will go ahead and pass to Mindy.
Awesome.
Hello, can you hear me? Test, test. Yes, okay. Hi everyone, my name is Mindy. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Senior Manager of Community at Discord, which is on the marketing team. And we really focus on surprising and delighting the Discord community, as well as creating programs for specific segments of our community, like our partner program. And I'm excited to be here. Yay.
Amazing. And Chloe, share a little bit about you.
Hey,
I think
y'all.
we're kind of matching, by the way. Like, I'm noticing like Chloe and I are matching, Evelyn and Mindy are matching, totally uncoordinated, but coordinated at the same time. I love it. Okay, sorry. Go
Yay.
ahead, Chloe.
No, not at all. I am a sub, so I'm a last minute addition to this panel. So I feel like I'm not ready with the cool backgrounds. But hi everyone, I'm Chloe. I'm a product manager on the communities engagement team. We're working on making Discord the home for your community, and we are coming up with all kinds of features to make it easy for people to interact with each other and gather online. So a few things we worked on are like events and stages. And if you have seen on my LinkedIn, I've posted about some new forum type features that we're testing out. It's just really neat. So yeah, that's my team.
Amazing, amazing. Wonderful. Well, I think we have quite a few questions that have already come in, but I want to start with one that I think might allow us to learn a little bit more about the teams that we are a part of, and follows on to the initial conversation that I had with Beena, where she talked a little bit about the people first mentality around how Discord treats both its employees and the environment that it creates. And this question from Karen asks, like, how does Discord also create collaborative environments? We are a people first company, but really, how do we create that collaboration?
I can start. I think there's kind of like two types of collaboration that comes to mind. There's collaboration within the immediate team. And so making sure when we're going to kick off new work, or we get, direction about a new area that we want to go, that everyone on the team has a chance to, get informed about this work. And we give everyone, no matter your role, a chance to give feedback, brainstorm, because we know that good ideas can and often come from, all across the business. And then the other part of collaboration that we do is cross-functionally. So not just even within our own community team, but making sure that we collaborate with our friends across the business, and they get looped in with plenty of time to make sure whenever possible, we're not surprising them with any last minute requests, and they can embed our plans in their plans. And it is I think working for Discord and using Discord all day also facilitates that. We're really casual. We're always happy to jump into voice chats, to just, hash things out with each other. And even though we are working, remote, I think Discord really encourages that sort of collaborative environment, which is really fun.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh, go ahead, Evelyn.
Big plus one on all of that, really. That's pretty much still my answer.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now I'm kind of curious. I know we got straight into what is Discord and the collaboration that happens, but I also am curious just because we have so many folks from different parts of the company. So right now in this conversation, we have, Mindy from the community perspective, we have Chloe from the perspective of product, and we have, Evelyn from the perspective of engineering, and all in different aspects, but all are part of that same unifying factor of what is Discord. And obviously our day-to-days look totally different, but I'm curious, what is a day in the life of each of you? I know they could be very different, but I think the folks want to know. I mean, I also selfishly want to know, but I think the folks as well that are here would also like to know more. Maybe we could start with you, Chloe, not to put you on the spot, but I am kind of, sort of, yeah.
Oh man. Wow, it's been so busy lately, but I think right now we are in testing mode to see if this new big bet feature for communities is going to work. And I think every morning I come into an inbox of a bunch of DMs from admins, community creators, and I try to get their feedback on what they want to see. I know that the world is moving virtually and we're building these communities online. We're connecting online through interests. And so how do we make that easy for people and safe, and have authentic conversations and get people to connect and do it in a way that's really natural for everyone? And I think trying to create that is really hard because there's not a really great way to do that today. And Discord is the default for a lot of communities. So every morning I'm just tackling that question. And then I go to stand up, I work with all my engineers, I'm a designer, and then we do this thing called bike shedding, where we explore all kinds of different designs, how users might react to it if things don't look right, any wild ideas that we want to throw out. We also have couch time, which is unstructured time together to just sit, kind of like co-working spaces. We sit together, and if anyone has something they want to bring up, they can bring it up during couch time. And then we have tactical meetings throughout the day, with data, with the community team, with Mindy's team, and with design. and other leads and engineering. So lots of different meetings just to get to like that next step of what do we need to do next? Are we solving the problems for our community members? And hopefully have time for like hangouts and getting boba with coworkers. Yesterday, I had a coworker send me boba and I was like, I love you. So yeah, that's, I think, the day of my life, yesterday, today combined.
Amazing. That's pretty awesome. I think that really brings into, you know, what the magic of our Wampus world of Discord. I'm curious, Chloe, what is your day in the life like? Snowsgiving, post or pre?
Wait, sorry, me?
Mindy, sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes. So I was just looking at my calendar because I was like, what do I do all day? A lot of meetings as well, similar to Chloe. You know, spend time meeting one-on-one with members of my direct reports, one-on-ones with the key folks across the company to make sure that we're, you know, staying aligned and we're on the same path as things do develop very quickly and rapidly. And so a quick 30 minutes once a month with some people can go a long way in making sure we're not, you know, veering off path. But definitely agree with making space for casual collaboration. We have a server where everyone on my team has a voice channel that's their desk. So like Mindy's desk. And so we can say things like, oh, meet me at my desk, but we also have a Boba Guys voice channel. And so it just kind of makes it feel more fun when we can hang out in those voice channels. But yeah, truly a lot of meetings and desperately trying to find and block off 2-hour chunks of focus time, because I think 2 hours is like the minimum amount of time that you need to like really deep to then be able to write up strategies and Notion docs to then hopefully have sources of truth for other people to reference and make sure that we know what the bigger strategy is and the vision. So I truly love it. I think my career has developed where I'm not spending as much, you know, hands-on time within the community, and more of my focus is on like the strategy. So that's been a shift for me throughout the last couple of years.
Very awesome. I might have to take some of these ideas and perhaps bring them into the people, talent, and vibe. I like that idea of the desks as well. And next up, Evelyn, I'd love to hear from you a little bit about what you're up to.
Yeah, I love some of these ideas that I'm hearing too. I'm going to steal some of these for sure. So yeah, I mean, I'm also a manager, so meetings with one-on-ones like usually every day or every couple days a week with folks on my team. All the teams that I work with do stand-ups every day, so there's a couple of stand-ups that kind of kick off my morning usually. And then like a lot, since I'm an engineering manager, like a lot of my work has to do with like coordination and like project management, and also like goal setting and kind of like checking in on where we are in reaching those goals with the different projects. And that also includes like personal goals for people that I'm working with directly as well. One thing I was going to call out is, yes, I've also been working with a larger than usual team on a larger than usual project lately. So there's been like a lot of coordination. We have like something pretty interesting and exciting happening in like about 6 weeks or so. And so there's just been like a lot of coordination. Like it's been the last couple of weeks have been especially cross-functional, I would say, which is really fun. Like it's great to like have all that energy coming together as we like have a project coming towards its completion, its launch.
Very, very cool. I love like the element of anticipation. I hope everyone heard that little nugget of.
I can't talk about it for sure, so sorry.
Talk about it, but let's just keep our eyes peeled for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Some news, I guess, will be coming down the pipeline. I have a question specifically for you, Mindy, from Suzanne Guzman. How are you liking the shift from more community facing to larger strategizing? So more of the leadership role that you're taking on within your team.
Thank you for the question. It's really, really rewarding. It was definitely a little nerve-wracking because I'd spent, you know, so much of my job satisfaction and joy was getting to help those community members, you know, interact with them, build those relationships, and, you know, hear firsthand the impact of our product on the community. But it was a shift that I had been wanting to make in my career, and a lot of the fulfillment now comes from enabling the members of my team to do that work successfully. And the strategy, the work that I'm doing at a higher level now should hopefully be driving a bigger impact for the community. And so learning, I'm one person, I can never do it all, but if I can shift my focus into building those relationships and securing more resources, we'll actually be able to have a lot more value for the community. And so that's kind of where my passion still drives, is serving our community and treating them like humans and being playful, but having a bigger picture and a bigger vision about what that could look like in the future.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of really good nuggets there, especially around, moving from an individual contributor to more of a management role, and still at the end of the day, that core around really putting the users first is such a unique and important lens. And that's important to recognize as we start to move within different roles within our respective careers. I know, Evelyn, not necessarily on the community side, but even on the engineering side, as you're growing your team a lot, even this year, like how you're starting to also think about, how to build a team while also maybe not doing the hands-on work that you were doing probably earlier in your career.
Yeah, that's getting easier because I've been doing management for a minute and I'm not as good as a coder than I used to be. So part of it is just like literally not being able to do it as much anymore. And also I've been at Discord about 6 or 7 months now. And while I've worked in tech stacks that are similar, like previously in my career, I haven't really worked very much in the Discord codebase itself. So I rely on members of the team a lot when it comes to actually getting things done on the engineering side of things. As we think about growing the team and having more folks come on, one of the big things that I'm, working through with the teams and with myself is how do I hand off more of the running the team part too, taking it even more of a strategic further step back over time. And so that's really helping me lean into my skills around coaching and mentorship, which are things which are pretty big reasons why I became a manager in the first place, but those are things that I like to do anyways. And so it's really just doubling down even more on those skills. And I think an important part of that is also learning what I need from folks that I work with directly to trust them and build trust with them, and what they need from me to have trust in me. And so I can, earn and build that trust reciprocally. And having an active dialogue about what those things are, and understanding those things take time too.
Absolutely. Time. I feel like that's such a important phrase to really, close with, and thinking about, how important that is when we're thinking about this work. I just saw a note here and a question from Des, specifically for Chloe. And the question is, Chloe, what do you do to organize your time? You seem very busy, and I guess Des wants to hear all the code, all of the awesome hacks that you might have in order to stay organized with all of the work that you're leading.
Oh my God, I am the ultimate organizational catfish. It's not true. I think that I struggle with this a lot because there's simply way too many things. And I think in product, there's way too many priorities, and everyone is asking you to pull you in different directions. And you also interface with all kinds of teams, and there's little tasks to do all the time. I think that at the end of the day, there are a lot of different prioritization hacks. You can use the Eisenhower decision-making matrix to figure out what's your high priorities, what's urgent. You can also, there's so many frameworks to decide whether something should be done first or not. You can use task management and to-do lists, but I'm really simple-brained and I just have a very, if I can only do 1 to 3 things today, what are those things? And then I need to sit down and do it. I also think about, for the tasks that can only be done by me, what are those things? And for everything else, can I delegate to someone else and parallel process the tasks and not let myself be the bottleneck? Otherwise, I feel really bad about myself and my productivity. But I think the answer is setting boundaries and expectations on what should your scope of work be. I think the answer is not to do everything, and not to do everything as fast as you can. It's just picking out what to do is the art, which I'm still figuring out. but I think everyone struggles with it. Yeah, everyone has their own strengths. But if anyone on the panel has like crazy life hacks, I am all ears. Looking for advice.
You and me both, Chloe, you and me both. I might actually pop that question over to Mindy and Evelyn in case y'all have any hacks. I know, Mindy, y'all use Asana really well on your team, and I think is a really good hack, but not to frame your question.
Lifelong struggle as well. I do think, yeah, +1 to all the things that Chloe said. And so often we do put off the most impactful work in favor of just like busying ourselves, because there's always so many other things to do. It's so easy and comfortable to just let yourself be like, oh, there's no time to do that thing that I kind of don't want to do, even though it might be the most impactful. And I think once a quarter, we try and do this little exercise where you just make a grid, most impactful, most effort, least impactful, least effort. And just like, it's a really just like brutal way to just like assess the facts about sometimes the high effort things that we are doing, even if we love doing them, aren't having the most impact. And it's just a way to kind of like review that, and reviewing your calendar too, to see where you're spending your time. Like, these things are good practices to start doing to just assess, because you gotta focus.
Yes to that. And tomorrow is Thursday at Discord, and Thursday everywhere else in the world. But on Thursdays we have a no meeting Thursday, which started off as a pilot, as a way for us to really try to have more both autonomy on our schedules, but also thinking about, how we might be able to prioritize. I will be the first to admit that sometimes I end up scheduling a couple of meetings here or there, but for the most part, it's a pretty cool practice. And I think just emphasizes that hopeful practice of being diligent with our time. Evelyn, not to put you out there too, but I'm curious if you have any hacks for the folks who are curious.
Yeah, it's a really simple hack. I just make it, I use a paper to-do list, and I just like cross things off as I do them. And then if I haven't done something for a while and it's like way back in my to-do list, I will ask myself, like, is this actually important? Like, did I not do it because it's not important, or like it can happen later, or am I avoiding it? And then I can kind of like, okay, no, you really have to go do that. You've been avoiding it for like 10 to-do items. Or be like, okay, actually that wasn't something that you really need to worry about. But for some reason, for me, like having it be written on a paper and like getting to cross things off and just have it go as like a forever list kind of has been really, really helpful.
Absolutely. And, as I think about, all the lightning talks that we had today, where we were able to hear a little bit from various parts of the company, I think something that, resonated with me was also hearing Kelsey's talk around, mistakes or lessons that we might have learned in our career, whether it's either currently or in recent past or a long time ago, early on in our careers. Are there any lessons or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave the folks here with? I think it would be great to hear from each of you, because you have so many different perspectives that could really resonate with folks as we bring our leadership panel to a close today. I'm happy to start as well.
Yeah, you start.
Okay, perfect. I mean, I think for me, some of the lessons that I've learned are, one, my mom always told me this, but from a very early age, the worst they can say is no. And that really has helped me a lot, especially when I was, starting a nonprofit organization out of my college dorm room. Everyone was like starting like actual like for-profit startups. And I was like, oh, I'm going to start a nonprofit. Like, so you automatically have no money to be made. And so I think, knocking on doors, figuring out how to, get through all the no's really taught me a lot and built a thicker skin in me as far as what's possible and what's not. And then, how I apply that in a corporate lens is sometimes that really gives me some strength as far as like what is and isn't possible. And I always say that, especially in the tech world, it's Disneyland, it's make-believe, in the sense that none of these companies existed when I was, 5 years old. And so all of what we can do is really up to us and our innovation and our persistence to be able to really reach what it is that we want to. So I feel like those are some of those lessons that even from a young age that I still apply to myself today.
Go
ahead.
I can share, I guess, like a nugget of wisdom. Like, I guess I'm trying to frame it as if I were to tell my younger self, like give her some advice, what would it be? And I think that for so long in school and college and how I viewed the world and society and like work, I've always kind of acclimated towards like the societal norm. And I always said, I need to do that because everyone's doing that. And I think that I was so obsessed with someone else's system of beliefs that when I finally went to go explore the things that I really enjoyed and I discovered what I did and didn't like, and I found my own voice, I just wish I didn't blindly follow as much. And I wish I questioned more. And I wish I like challenged myself to really think whether I like what I'm doing and whether it's the right thing and what it gives to myself. And every day is really precious. And I know that it requires some exploration for myself to get to that point of like deciding what something means to me, but protecting my time and protecting my intentions and how I want to develop and protecting who I want around me and the problems I want to face every day. I think that I wish I took more intentional steps earlier. Yeah.
All great advice. All great advice. Curious, Evelyn and Mindy, any last words or if you were to speak to your younger self or other lessons along the way that you'd like to share with folks? All right.
Sorry, I was trying to give Evelyn if Evelyn wanted to go. Younger self, I think in tech, things move very quickly and you finish one project while you're working on another, and encouraging yourself just to pause and reflect on how far you have gone and how much you have learned, even in a month, 6 months, 12 months, just to give yourself some grace and some kindness with learning new things constantly. It's very tiring. And I think burnout is so prevalent in tech. And so setting those boundaries, like Chloe mentioned, reflecting on truly how much you have learned, even though you're moving so quickly. And then some of the things that I have written on a sticky note, just reminders for myself every day, is just to have fun. Like, we get paid to work on these problems together and challenges, and anyone who can make each day coming to work a little more fun makes everyone's jobs a little easier. Saying no and remembering that you are the expert and they hired you for a reason and they're paying you for your time and your expertise, and to just be more confident in what your gut is telling you. Because so often, even now after doing it for like 10 years, I still feel like an imposter or still question whether I should speak up. And I need that daily reminder still to myself to trust myself.
Amazing.
There's one other thing I'll add to, which is I feel like a lot of time in my career, I've been focused on like, what is the problem or like what is broken that I need to work on to fix, like whether it's like at work or like it's something I'm working on for myself. And like a big part of things recently for me have been, that's a way to approach things, but also like making more space for like being grateful and appreciating the things that are good or like okay as well, alongside the things that you want to change or like dig into more. So having a little more space for that is something I think is really important.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Well, first off, I just want to thank you all for the time that you shared with us, the gems that you dropped. To all the folks in the audience, major thank you for being here today with us. The time for our leadership panel has come to a close. So big thank you, Chloe, Evelyn, and Mindy, for your time today. However, we have a few more things in store, and that's one, introducing my colleague and bringing up Lauren to the stage. And then I believe after that, there is a networking session that Angie will be talking a little bit about later. But again, thank you, Chloe and Mindy and Evelyn, for your time. And I will be passing the mic over to Lauren. And I think this also ends my monopoly of the microphone today, but thank you all for having me, and hopefully I'll get to see you all soon.
Okay, cool. So I guess what I could do is say thank you for joining us for our first virtual Girl Geek X Discord event. Jire, you're an amazing SNL host. Thank you so much
Hi.
for hosting all the things. And first of all, telling us about Discord and then hosting Beena and having a panel and just wrangling this entire event. This is amazing. I think we all can feel the warm energy of the Discord women. So I think everyone's energized to learn more about working at Discord. We'll be emailing out jobs to everyone who's registered, as well as a link to a survey. So be on the lookout for that. So we enjoyed having Jire, Beena, Megan, Kelsey, Natalie, Nancy, Evelyn, Mindy, Chloe, and maybe Lauren will be joining us to talk about recruiting. But in the meantime, we will be having some networking. So starting now, we will be putting people into breakout rooms. So we'll be hopping out of this webinar and going into Zoom breakout rooms. You'll be meeting 4 to 6, maybe other girl geeks, whoever can stay for another half an hour or so. And we'll shuffle the rooms 3 times. So you'll be in each room for about 20 minutes and you'll see a 1-minute warning when it's time to wrap up. And we'll be putting the link into the chat that you can click on and go to the Zoom meeting. And that way we can see you on the other side, and when you can be in your rooms, you can have your own little name that you change to say whatever you wanted to say. And yeah, we'll just see you on that Zoom meeting. And if you can hang out with us, please do. If not, if you're on the East Coast, you can go to bed. You've had a long day. So thank you so much for being with us. And we will see you in the Zoom breakout rooms if you would like to continue chatting with Girl Geeks. Other than that, yeah.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you so much, Angie. Thank you to the Girl Geek X community. We're incredibly honored to be here with you all. You will be hearing from us. If you are interested in roles, we really would love to meet you and get to know you and hear your stories and hope to find a role that's right for you. We have curated a few roles that Angie will be sharing with you all in the next day or so, as well as an open opportunity. Maybe you don't see the role that you're really passionate about. That is totally fine. We do have an open-ended role so that we can make sure to hopefully engage as many of you as possible. But again, thank you so much